Hello, welcome to our worship facility webinar, How to Protect Your Glass Against Forced Entry, Bomb Blasts, and Natural Disasters, featuring Jamie Hamilton, sponsored by NGS. I'm Gene Lass, editor of Worship Facility.
Hi, and welcome to today's webinar on how to protect your glass against forced entry, bomb blasts, and natural disasters. My name is Jamie Hamilton. I'm the sales director here at NGS Films and Graphics. NGS Films and Graphics are the largest window film contractor in the country. We are 3M's largest window film dealer, and we are the large market dealer award winner for the fourth year in 2023 with 3M as well. We install over 11,000 projects a year, but without further ado, we'll get on with our presentation. So mass shootings at houses of worship are on the increase. Obviously, we saw Dangerfield in 1980, all the way through to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 2018, and we've seen more since then as well. It's a rising problem we're seeing alongside active shooter scenarios at K through 12 in schools, civil unrest, as well as windstorm and seismic activity as well. And security films and security glazing retrofits can be a good answer to a lot of these problems. So we're seeing an increased threat in a lot of religious entities due to the Israel-Hamas war. It's obviously a particular hot button right now. And places of peace have become targets of terror, sadly enough. So just a little piece here that says acts of targeted violence against houses of worships are a real and potentially growing problem in the United States and a top priority for the US Department of Homeland Security. Cybersecurity, that was from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA. Glass is one of the weakest links. What we're seeing in a lot of houses of worship is that they have access control. They have maybe physical security. They have technology, things like that. Glass is one of the last things to being looked at. And as we saw in the Nashville incident, and I'll kind of skip across to this video or this screenshot, when that perpetrator couldn't get through that locked door, couldn't get through the security systems that were already in place, the first thing they did was shot the glass doors with their firearm from the outside. As you can see, there's an interior door there and an exterior door. When they shot through that glass, they actually managed to shoot through both those doors, and you can see that glass break because it's a standard code for your front entries. It's tempered glass. That glass broke into hundreds of little pieces and immediately fell in. The access time for the incident in Nashville was 20 seconds. 20 seconds is an unreasonable response time to provide emergency services, emergency workers, or even the people inside the building to get into a place of security, get into a lockdown position. So the key findings from the Window Safety and Security Survey is that glass is destined to fail. First responders aren't enough. And we don't mean that first responders aren't good enough at what they do. What we mean with that is that first responders don't have enough time to respond. How can we provide them with more time to respond when these incidents are occurring across the country? Also, natural disasters are a growing concern. So here at NGS, we look at a tiered approach to security, providing you with entry-level needs all the way through to Tier 5 ballistic glazing. So our Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 are access delay systems. Tier 1 is going to be your entry-level security film. We'll get into that in a little more detail. Tier 2 is going to be an addition onto that entry level. Tier 3, brand new product on the market from 3M. 3M were looking to bridge the gap between access denial systems and the window film systems that have been on the market for a long time. And they actually brought out 3M S2400. It's a glazing laminate, and it performs completely differently from any window film on the market. They've asked NGS to go to market with that product and present and educate K through 12 religious organizations at the general market of what this product can and can't achieve. Tier 4 is our access denial system, partner with a company called Right Glass. It is a polycarbonate inside an extruded aluminum frame that attaches to the front of your glazing system, which is already there. So there's no need for replacement glazing, but it will deny access. And tier 5 is anything level 1 through level 7 ballistic glazing. And we'll get into all these tiers in a little bit more detail. So tier 1, safety and security film. The important phrase on the bottom of this slide is with an attachment system. Security film was never ever designed or manufactured to combat forced entry. It was never designed to mitigate active shooters. It was never designed to mitigate smash and grab. It was designed in the 1970s in response to the terrorist bombings in Northern Ireland and London. And what it does at a base level is it holds fragmented glass together. So it stops that fragmented glass from flying across the room, embedding itself in people, injuring people, or even worse. If you think about the Boston Marathon, if you think about the Oklahoma bombing, a lot of the people who were injured and worse during these attacks were injured because of flying debris and flying glass. Safety and security film can help mitigate that. However, to have a safety and security film which delays access, it has to come with an attachment system. And that attachment system is a four-sided wet glaze structural silicone that goes around all four sides of the frame, all four sides of the window film to attach it to the framing system that's already there. What are the advantages? It's cost effective. It's easily applied. It uses existing glazing. It helps buy precious time to allow emergency responders to respond. And it comes in either a tinted version or optically clear. So how does safety and security film work? The film has a strong adhesive. It forms a protective membrane onto the glass. Essentially, it stops fragmented glass from falling and from breaking. It holds that fragmented glass together. Wanted to dispel a couple of myths with security films that are out there in the market. We have myth number 1, the window film is bulletproof. Bullets will go straight through the film and the glass, and bullets will leave behind a hole in the glass. Why is this important? Because there are companies and there are products out there that will stop bullets in conjunction with security films. However, when you're looking at that conjunction with a security film, you're looking at half-inch plate glass, you're looking at polycarbonates, you're looking at other things that are in addition to the security film itself to provide you with any ballistic protection at all. The International Window Film Association, who are the only governing body for the window film industry and are actually made up of members from all the largest window film manufacturers in the world, released a statement saying that they are deeply concerned over companies who are presenting information that would lead people to believe that window film or any of these polyester products has any ballistic properties at all. So it's important to dispel that myth on the market. Myth 2, the film is impenetrable. As we talked about, security film is not an access denial system. It's an access delay system. If it's attacked for long enough, somebody will gain entry. Hopefully by that time, your emergency responders have responded. You've bought enough time to get into your lockdown protocols. Why safety and security film? Active shooter scenarios, sadly, are on the increase and have been since the 1970s. We're not seeing that slow down. Important to know, though, it was one of the top 5 recommendations from the Sandy Hook Advisory Committee way back in 2015. What the active shooter did at Sandy Hook was shot through the glass, smashed the glass, opened the door, and walked through. Fairly similar to what we saw on the Nashville incident as well. It was one of the top recommendations for the Federal Commission on School Safety way back in December 18, 2018. And it's part of the Partner Alliance for Safer Schools as well. There are costly alternatives. There's laminate glass, there's bullet-resistant glass. NGS provide everything from level 1 through level 7 ballistic glass. The issue we have with that is it's very expensive in comparison to the security film options. The lead times are a lot higher on getting the components fabricated. And there's also weight restrictions because we have to reframe out doors or windows. The glass is so heavy in itself that there may even be engineering issues in terms of replacing your glass and frame with a bullet resistant substitute. So let's have a little look at why 3M. NGS are brand agnostic, but when it comes to safety and security films, we generally recommend 3M products. Why is that? Their security films perform better than any other security films on the market. Every single major window film manufacturer that we work with, whether it's Eastman Chemicals, whether it's SolarGuard, who are part of Saint-Gobain, whether it's 3M, or whether it's Madico, have what we call a Me Too product. That's a stacked product. So if you look at an 8mm film, that's the thickness of the film, it's made up of two 4mm films stacked together. 3M have an Ultra Series technology, and that technology is hundreds of micro-woven tear-resistant strands. What that does is it gives that 8mm film the tensile tear strength of a far thicker 14mm film. So in terms of performance, not only does it absorb pressure when it's attacked, but it also tears way more difficult than any other 8mm film on the market. So that's reason number one for using 3M. The second reason, and we kind of touched on this earlier on, when you're looking at a product or a group of products for access delay or for active shooter mitigation, you're looking to have an attachment system attach that window film to the frame. When our installers install security film on a window, they cut around all four sides of that film and then squeegee out and it bonds to the glass. But when they cut around that film, there's a really tiny gap, like a 32nd of a gap between the edge of the film and the edge of the frame. With that gap, if that window is attacked, the whole window panel will fall in. When we add that attachment system, it seals that in. It'll bite about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch on the glass, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch on the frame, and it brings that weak point back to being in the center of the glass, but it's way stronger than what it was. Well, realizing this, 3M manufactured their own attachment system specifically for the window film industry. It's called 3M Impact Protection Adhesive, or 3M IPA. And what that does for your organizations, for any commercial building that we apply this to, is it means that you've got one company providing the warranty for the entire product system that is securing your glazing. If we use another manufacturer, for instance, a Madico, an Eastman Chemical, or a SolarGuard, we would have to be looking at somebody else's attachment system. The construction standard is Dow Corning 995. So you can have two warranties working against each other. With 3M, they actually provide you an umbrella warranty for the whole system. If you use a 3M security film like the Ultra 800, you will get an additional 2 years onto the standard warranty by using their attachment system. By actually using NGS as 3M's only platinum dealer, you'll add another 2 years onto that warranty as well. So again, here we have a microscopic view of that multi-layer interwoven film. They've patented that design to resist tearing. The film is applied on the interior side, so the opposite side of attack, which protects it from the elements, but also allows it to absorb against the attack. And you'll see that on one of the videos that we have coming up. This shows a really good side profile shot of what I was talking about with that gap between the window film edge and the edge of the frame. And if you look down here, where this cursor is right here, you'll see that gap, which is why there's a requirement and a need to add that wet glaze attachment system on there for it to have any forced entry capabilities at all. 3M Impact Protection Adhesive, we spoke about a little bit before. It cures in about 3 times. It's tamper resistant, and we're looking for about at least a 1/4 inch on the frame and a 1/4 inch on the glass as well. This is a really good example. So this would be our tier 1 system with everything applied on the safe side, the window film and the attachment. This would be the attack side. This is our tier 2 system. Now, since installing security film like NGS has since 2009, what we've realized is that thicker doesn't necessarily mean better. But through testing and trial of a lot of different systems with the national retailers that we've worked with for years, we realized that if you added an exterior film to sandwich that glass together, it takes about 3 times longer to penetrate that window film system. And what we mean there is it takes 3 times longer to create a hole. It takes 3 times longer to get body passage through that glass, so it actually buys you more time. So what you've got in this diagram is that 3M interwoven S800 film, that 3M Ultra film on the safe side on the inside, that 3M impact protection adhesive or IPA on the inside, and then a 3M 7mm exterior weatherable film on the outside. This is a really interesting document that went through, and in the conversations we were having with schools, what we were finding is there was just a wide variety of difference in terms of what the response times were or what people thought the response times were. So we actually got a document from the US Secret Service National Threat Assessment Center, the NTAC, where they studied 41 incidents of targets at K through 12 schools in the United States. And the information that came back was kind of eye-opening in terms of what system schools want or need and should have to delay active shooters enough to allow emergency responders to respond. So 32% of responders took them between 1 and 5 minutes to arrive in the scene. What we'll show you later on is our tier 1 system is going to buy you up to about 2 minutes. Our tier 2 system is going to buy you up to about 6 minutes. 27% of first responders arrived between 5 and 10 minutes after the attack began. So again, it can help you try and laser in on what particular security film system or access delay system your buildings require to provide you and the emergency responders with enough time to respond. In only one case, outside law enforcement responded in 1 minute or less because there were already officers at the school. So what we kind of wanted to show here, and you've heard me talk about numbers, our tier 1 buying up to about 2 minutes and our tier 2 buying up to about 6 minutes. How do we know that? Well, we worked with Houston ISD in Texas. We actually partnered up with Houston Police Department. We wanted to have an active shooter demonstration, but what we wanted to show with that active shooter demonstration was not how well the film works, not how long it's going to keep somebody out for, but what we wanted to provide as realistic an active shooter demonstration as possible. We wanted to be able to provide the stakeholders at K through 12, the stakeholders at our religious organization partners to be able to say, what is tier 1 bias? What is tier 2 bias? So the direction we gave to Houston PD was don't go at it with the tools that you would use to get through a piece of glass because that's not what we're seeing in active shooter scenarios. Don't go at it with a handgun because that's not what we're seeing in active shooter scenarios. We want you to attack this glass with a rifle, with an automatic weapon that we're seeing as being used in these incidents. We want you to attack 1/4-inch tempered glass. Why? Because that's the standard specification that's on the front of schools, that's on the front of commercial buildings, that's on the front of religious buildings. And we want to see how long it takes you to get through this glass, shooting center mass and then smashing it with the butt of a gun, because that is the typical method of entry. So we've got 1/4-inch tempered glass with no film. This is a Sandy Hook scenario. This is the Tennessee incident right here. Shooting through the glass, the first thing you'll see is the bullets go straight through, smashes it with his foot and the gun, at an entry time of 20 seconds. Remember we talked about that entry time at the Nashville incident? 20 seconds. If that gives full credence to this active shooter demonstration, because we're seeing real live incidents the way that in the same method of attack that we're seeing in this video. This is our tier 1 system. So remember we talked about our tier 1 system. Everything's on the safe side of the glass. So on that, the side opposing what he's attacking, and you'll see it actually flex and absorb some of that pressure. So 3M Ultra 800 interwoven film on the safe side of the glass, 4-sided impact protection adhesive on the safe side of that glass. And it takes him about a minute to create a hole. And now it's all about him making that hole larger and trying to get body passage. So you can see he's got his leg through there, still not large enough to gain body passage. Could be getting there. So we conservatively said Tier 1 will buy you up to about 2 minutes. The next demonstration you're going to see, the 3M Ultra S800 film comes in either a clear or a tinted version. We see customers a mix of choosing one or the other. The tinted version can reduce your solar heat gain, but it can also provide you with reduced visibility from whatever the greater source of light is. If you're looking at a K through 12 building or a religious building, the main hours of operation are daylight, so you're going to reduce that visibility from wherever the greater source of light is, which is going to be the sun. As you can see here, it takes them about 3 minutes to create a hole. So remember, we talked about 3 times the performance, 3 minutes to create a hole. And he stopped the clock because he's physically exhausted. He just can't do any more at about 5 minutes and 49 seconds without creating a breach. And you can see he's created 2 holes, 2 separate holes. But remember, we've got that exterior film sandwiching those 2 pieces of glass together. So what we wanted to do here is show you how that same system would work on a larger panel like a door. So we've got 3M Ultra 800 interwoven technology on the safe side, with that wet glaze attachment system on the safe side as well. We've then got 3M S70 exterior sandwiching that glass together, and the 4-sided impact protection adhesive as well. And you can see similarly, buying about 3 minutes before he creates a hole, 53 shots, 78 hits, and counting. We're now over 6 minutes. And he's created a hole, but it's still adhering to that frame. And what we've got there is 16 minutes and 15 seconds with no breach. If we can buy 16 minutes and 15 seconds to these types of attacks, undoubtedly, we're giving the emergency responders more time to respond than in any of the active shooter demonstrations that we've carried out. The ask is, if we can keep the fight on the street, the emergency responders have a far greater chance of stopping that quicker. Tier 3 is our S2400. We're actually running some testing, an active shooter demonstration on this next week. It is brand new to the market, so you're one of the first people to hear about this product. NGS are one of the first companies to bring it to market. I know we talked about tensile tear strength with the 3M S800. What we're going to talk about now, because 3M S2400 isn't actually a polyester product, is elongation at break. Well, what does elongation at break means? It means how far can you stretch that film before it starts to break. A standard security film elongation at break is about 100 to 200 maximum. 3M S2400 is 610 elongation at break. So it means once you create a hole in that film, that's when it's going to start to tear apart. Because it is a security laminate and because it's not made of polyester, it actually starts to gum up when you start to tear it. So if you can create a cut, and if you're looking at any window film vendors and you've got a standard security film, it's a really good test to do. Create a cut in the security film and tear it. It should tear like a thick piece of cardboard, because once that film is actually kind of broken, it tears relatively easily, still buying time. With the S2400, because it's not made of that polyester, once you create a hole in it and start to cut it, as you pull it and start to tear it, it gets harder and harder and harder to tear, meaning that getting to that body passage point is going to take you about 6 to 8 times longer. It's going to perform 6 to 8 times better. So looking at our Riot Glass product now, Riot Glass is our tier 4, really good side profile here. So if you look at this panel here, this would be your existing glazing. Riot Glass fits inside that channel perfectly with that aluminum frame to match the frame that's already there. Then there are screws which tap through the frame and attach it into the side. So it's not removable, it's attached to the frame, and it's a polycarbonate panel here that sits about 1/2 inch off that framing system. Here we've got an example of some false mullions and some panels, because the false mullions prevent the polycarbonate from flexing too much. And here's the design: self-tapping screws, that polycarbonate panel, and then the frame sits inside the window. So let's have a look at some videos of Riot Glass in action. You can see here, attacked with a crowbar on a door. Not only does the riot glass stop the attack as an access denial system, but it stops the glass breakage as well, meaning that there's not a board up, meaning that there's no broken glass to replace either. Let's have a look again with something slightly different. We're going to have a sledgehammer attack here. This is a Murphy oil and a very committed perpetrator. So large sledgehammer, again, you can see because of the flex in that polycarbonate, with something heavier like a sledgehammer, it does flex enough to break the glass. But after repeated attack, what you're seeing in this video is that riot glass panels stay in place. Going back for one last try. And again, this is why it's described as an access denial system. Again, it prevents the need for immediate board up. We're looking at an opportunistic perpetrator here at a retail storefront. No glass breakage, not gaining access. Let's have a second attempt. And again, stop that attack. Riot glass is one of the only products on the market to achieve small missile impact and large missile impact in terms of Miami-Dade. Large missile impact is one of the hardest to achieve, and it's essentially stopping a 2x4 flying through the air at high speed. This is the testing for large missile impact, and they have to shoot from an air cannon in multiple different places on the panel to make sure that it doesn't dislodge or break in any of those areas and there are no weaknesses. Tier 5 ballistic. So UL 752 is where the ballistic class threat level is. If we look at class threat levels from 1 to 10, 3 is the usual kind of go-to for government military buildings. But even that level of ballistic protection isn't stopping what we're seeing in a lot of these active shooter scenarios. We'd be looking at level 7. Level 7 can cause severe weight restriction issues and severe framing issues. So again, dependent on what you're looking at, NGS also provide level 1 through level 7 ballistic glass and ballistic polycarbonates as well. This is actually an installation that we did at DCAB school district in Georgia with level 3 ballistic glass. But as you see there, we take out the existing framing of what was there and completely replace the whole system, because it's not only the glass that's level 3, it has to be categorized as level 3, it's also that framing as well, so that somebody just can't avoid the glass and shoot through the frame. Visual security, some examples of NGS in-house print, in-house graphics, in-house production. We provided visual security for admin offices by adding a graphic design like these trees. National retailers, where they want to block out some storage space. This is Ross Dress for Less. Michaels, we work with at a national level as well, where they had one-way mirror film or highly reflective solar film to reduce visibility from wherever the greater source of light is. And this was a multi-state rollout that NGS provided a few years ago with a perforated film for the National Guard. Back in the day, there was some attacks of armed personnel in recruitment centers. They wanted to reduce that visibility and reduce that targeting from the outside in. So we provided a perforated film with a custom graphic. If you think about that perforated film from what you see on a bus or a train, it has those tiny holes in it. So when you're on the inside, your mind maps those holes so you can see what's happening on the outside. When you're on the outside looking in, your mind maps that graphic image so you can't see what's inside. So it completely reduces that targeting risk. Decatur High School in Alabama asked us to provide some visual obscuration branding film for across a walkway where there was students walking from one building to another. One-way mirror film works exactly like you would think it does in the movies. It provides reduced visibility from wherever the greater source of light is. It's usually between a 3 and 7% visible light transmittance. It's highly reflective, meaning that when you go into your lockdown protocols and your doors are locked and your lights are off and you've got that on your classroom windows, the perpetrator can't see, or it's very difficult to see inside that classroom, to see if there's students in there, to see if there's people in there, to see if there's staff in there, or any congregation members in there. So why NGS? NGS are the largest window film contractor in the country. We talked about that. We're 3M's largest market national dealer 2019, 2020, 2022, 2023. We're the only 3M Platinum tier dealer in America. That provides you with an additional 2 years warranty on top of most products from 3M. We have national contracting vehicles. What we realized for industries all over the country was that purchasing was a pain point. RFPs are a pain point, RFQs are a pain point. So we partnered up with numerous contracting vehicles around the country to make it more of a frictionless buying process. We have nationwide installations. We have a network of installers all across the country. We have multiple offices all across the country in Chicago, New York, Houston, Dallas, Los Angeles, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, and DC. We completed over 11,000 installations annually. We have proprietary software where we can assess your glazing. We can provide you with a full report back that tells you exactly where film is going, exactly how much film is going there, so that there's complete transparency over our surveys and what the expectation is of the glass that you're getting protected. We're a GSA Green Proving Ground finalist 2022, and we do all of our own house engineering as well. Track record, since 2019, NGS has worked with 321 school districts across the country. 200 of these have been in Texas. Part of the reasoning behind that is that Texas actually brought in a mandate. The Texas Education Authority brought in a mandate stating that all school districts across the entire state have to have security film installed. That's over 1,100 districts in Texas. Proven success or zoned approach. So when we're looking at surveying a building, or when we're looking at how to report your buildings back to you, we're looking at a zoned approach to security. Zone 1 is going to be all of your main entries. Zone 2 is going to be all of your secondary exits, so perimeter windows. And Zone 3 is going to be anything that's on the interior of the building. We'll provide you with that proprietary software, and the first thing that proprietary software is going to tell you is what is the name of the building. So if you've got a multi-building campus, that's going to be that's the first piece of information. The second piece of information is is it zone 1, is it zone 2, or is it zone 3? And then third piece of information is an area. The area is going to tie back to an elevation picture that our surveyors will take for you, so that you can see exactly what the building is, what the zone is, what the area is. Have a look at that picture and make sure that's an area that you want covered. The proprietary software that we give you provides you with a filtering option, so you can filter it down to have a look at building by building, have a look at zone by zone, or even remove areas in real time, and it will change your pricing in real time as well. We talked about the purchasing cooperatives that NGS has. We're a GSA contract holder, Purchasing Cooperative of America, Equalis, CMAS, TIPS, TextBuy, Region 20, Region 10, Region 5, all of these purchasing cooperatives. Again, this is an example of the binder that we'll provide you with your survey. It's going to give you that elevation picture. This would be a Zone 1, probably an Area 1 as well, Zone 1, Area 1. It's going to be marked on an overhead view of your building, which is usually the emergency escape plan, or if we can't get that, we'll create it from a Google overhead image, and it'll have it numbered off to all the areas that are getting covered. And then you'll have that area report that we'll provide you as well, with all of those numbers on there. Our school safety experts video, what we wanted to do here was we wanted to go to a few of our customers in multiple states, and we asked them the question, why security film? Why 3M? And what was your experience with NGS? Just a couple of excerpts here from Paul Cash, from Bruno Diaz, and from Michael Brooks at Friendship Independence School. So that's the end of our presentation. If you have any questions at the end of this webinar, please reach out to me at the email address provided. That's jamie@filmsandgraphics.com. My cell phone number is there as well. You can also scan the QR code to get my information. Sign up to our YouTube channel. Add yourself to any of the other webinars that are available. They're very educational and very helpful. And I hope you enjoyed the webinar that we presented for you today. Have a wonderful morning or afternoon. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Jamie. As you saw at the end of Jamie's presentation, he had a link in case you had any questions for him or wanted more information. Or you could email me at glance@worshipfacility.com and we'll give you the answers that you need. Thank you for watching, and thanks again to Jamie Hamilton and our sponsor, NGS. I'm Gene Lance, editor of Worship Facility.